Benjamin, what motivated you to get into the wrestling business?
Well, I had moved to Nashville, started my own company, and worked in the entertainment business representing music artists and other athletes. And had the opportunity to interview with the folks who were starting TNA Wrestling several months before it actually started. I took on a big part of the company as my project and became more and more involved and was named president about 6 years ago.
Aaron H., please describe your relationship with Jeff and Jerry Jarrett. When did you meet the Jarretts? How has your relationship progressed since then? What is your relationship with Jeff and Jerry now?
I met, some of you may know this story. When I lived in Dallas and I had just graduated from college, I lived in an apartment, and my next door neighbor was Jeff and Jerry Jarrett. What are the odds of that? Huh? There was a guy who I always saw in the parking lot with this white blonde hair, you know, and he came up to me one time and says, "Hi, my name's Jeff." I said, "I'm Dixie." And he said, "So what do you do?" And then I felt the obligatory, "So what do you do?" He told me he's a professional wrestler, and I was like, "Yeah, right," you know. And then I remember hearing David Letterman talk about him just a few months later. But it was interesting. And then the first time we met, I said, "Hey, did you ever live in Dallas?" He said, "Yeah." I go, "Las Colinas?" He said, "Yeah." I go, "Hackberry Creek Apartments?" He goes, "Oh God, what did I do?"
Wow.
So yeah, it was an interesting world. Jeff and I are very close. I don't see Jerry very often, but I do see him every once in a while.
Okay. Richard Berger from Wrestling Classics Forum. If you met someone who has never seen or heard of pro wrestling, how would you verbally describe it to them?
That's an interesting question. It's kind of like a male rope opera. You know, it's full of action, and the storylines are told both in the ring and behind the scenes. So it's told not just in talk and character development and storylines, but you know, played out through good and evil in the ring.
Very good. Matt Farmer, Wrestling Classics Forum. I guess Matt has a MBA here. What is TNA's mission statement?
Oh, God. Well, I'll tell you part of it. Part of it is to become the preeminent wrestling company in the world, and to do so with integrity and professionalism. So it goes on, but that's the...
Jason from Melbourne asks, can you explain the organizational structure of TNA, excluding the talent, departments such as finance, marketing, advertising, public relations? Is the business fragmented in such a way that you've got folks working on exclusively on marketing? And
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's divided kind of in revenue streams, quite honestly. You have live events, you have licensing, both television licensing, which would be international and domestic. Then you have just licensed properties such as toys and trading cards and lunch boxes and things such as that. We have our touring business, which we really just started 2 years ago, actually touring house shows, untelevised events. And so then we have a marketing and publicity that works across all of those, finance that works across all those departments. And then we have talent relations and creative, and then obviously television production.
All right. Let's see, Jason, what influence does Panda Energy have on the day-to-day running of TNA, and what influence does Panda Energy have on the on-screen product?
Well, what Panda does best is they're very good financial business company. They're not an entertainment company, so what they provide us is great, sound financial direction and advice. And so I think that's one reason that we've been able to, you know, really grow this company just on every dollar we made, not by having millions of dollars put into us, but just being very fiscally sound, making good business decisions, and being able to turn a profit, which we're excited that we do these days.
How many businesses can say that these days? Benjamin, you must change the business in order to create business and bring fans to your product. How you intend to change the business or reinvent wrestling for the next generation?
You know, this is I love this question. It's something we've been talking about a lot at the office lately. You know, everything, you know, most things in life have cycles. You know, businesses, you know, some things are up and down, and I think wrestling has always been cyclical as well. And I would say that, you know, in some ways, we kind of came in on a downward cycle of wrestling, because you had the heyday of WCW and WWF at the time. And, you know, they had at that time done some new things by pulling the curtain back and letting people see behind the scenes and more the character development scripted part of the show, and did a really great job of doing that. And I think our challenge is today, after what was exciting 15 years ago, maybe a little hokey today. And so, I don't know if you've been watching our product recently, but we've been really trying to institute some new things into taking that character development and the storyline part, which is critical to the success of a show like this, and trying to do something different with it, making it a little bit more real, hip, and today.
I'm thinking midgets. You can't go wrong with midgets.
There you go.
You can always go back to midgets.
Hey, there's 2 new midget shows out there. We don't want to compete with that.
You know what? You're right. There's 2 reality shows,
That's right.
about living as a little person. I think midget's politically incorrect.
There you go.
Yeah, well.
That's true.
Dirk Wiggler, thank you.
Really?
From
You think that's a real name?
Classics. I don't know if any of these people are real. If you could model TNA after any wrestling company, what would serve as the perfect model?
I don't think I would model it after any wrestling company. It's important to be your own company, but I do look to other successful business companies out there and what they do good and try to learn things from that.
So who would
Do you need to be closer to me where they can get us in here?
Oh,
Is that what they're telling us?
Since you asked. So if we're talking about a company that we would use as a model, maybe an innovator like Apple or something like that. So you would just look at the components and maybe emulate or see what works.
I think Apple's a great example.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in, wrestling's been around for centuries, yet what our biggest challenges today are keeping up with technology. Television is not the same today as it was 18 months or 2 or 3 years ago. There was no TiVo, DVR, all of these things were brand new concepts. And television, in the sense we have known it, is becoming obsolete in a lot of ways. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of years. But Apple is a really good example of somebody staying ahead of that technology and trying to, not just stay ahead of it, but
they're on to the
tone.
next thing by the time
Absolutely.
everybody else catches up. A video from The Masked Shooter.
Oh, do I want to see this?
Good Lord.
Is he sitting on a potty?
It looks like a potty.
Dixie Carter, the masked shooter here from Memphis, Tennessee. How you doing? I'm so excited you're here doing You Shoot Live. My question for you is, you don't wear TNA. How come you took TNA out of Nashville, Tennessee? I kept going to the asylum. I love going to the shows there. Then I kept going to the shows, but you guys didn't keep coming back. What happened? Another question I got for you, Dixie Carter. Who's your favorite wrestler? My favorite wrestler? Jerry King Lawler, Memphis, Tennessee. How come you never bring Jerry King Lawler to TNA? He'd been great in Memphis, Tennessee. He's a great wrestler in TNA. You should also bring in Tony Myers. He's a wrestler in Memphis, Tennessee. I don't like Jeff Jarrett that much. But Dixie, sorry I couldn't be there for the U-Shoot. I couldn't go up to the U-Shoot Live, but tomorrow I'm gonna hike my way up 95. And I'm gonna come to the Legends of the Ring convention. I'm gonna get a picture of you, Dixie. Yeah, boy, you excited? You want a picture with the masked shooter? It's gonna be great. I love you, baby.
That is impressive.
Yeah.
What makes wrestling fans proud.
Yeah.
I gotta
hope
go
you
back and
make
remember
it,
these
Shooter. Hope you
questions.
make it. What the hell? What
were those questions now? Why
don't they go to? Why
Nashville?
don't you work? Right. Why don't you work the city?
Nashville, we do go back there, but our play every year is a charity event that we raise money for the Boys and Girls Club of Tennessee. So we do have one play there a year, and I usually do it with, he just moved to Detroit to play for the Lions, but my good buddy Kyle Vanden Bosch and I, we had about 35 Tennessee Titans come out this past year. We raised over, I think, $110,000. We've raised $250,000 in 2 years. And so we do it for charity. Nashville was really great to us. It was a time, honestly, when we were just existing, and we were doing everything in our power to stay in business. And it was challenging times. I remember painting the bleachers on the asylum, at the asylum black, and to your fingers just cramped. And my husband painted the walls, and shopped at Target for props. And I was Jeremy Borash's first makeup person. He never heard of bronzer, and now he can't live without it. And But you know,
That wasn't even a submitted question.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
got
yeah.
that.
You know, but
Jeremy, with the makeup.
Those were
Never
great
would've guessed.
times, and I wouldn't trade that perspective for anything, because it makes where we've come and what we do now, it makes you appreciate it so much more. And I tell our employees and I tell our talent, you know, those who have come in and, you know, we're having success and things are bigger. You know, it's like, you know, you missed a special time at TNA,
Yeah.
you know, when we did struggle most. But we couldn't grow from there. We sustained and we stayed on life support, you know, long enough to keep us going, but we couldn't grow there, so we had to
Gotcha.
go elsewhere.
You know, I think of that video we just watched with the guy on the bowl there. You ever get scared when you see what TNA fans? I mean, you're sitting, you probably have a very nice office somewhere, and you're sitting there, and you're doing your day-to-day business. You're talking about
they showed
marketing,
up
you're
on a
talking about net
potty or
margins,
whatever
and then
he
here's a
was
guy on the toilet.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. You know what? No, the fans are great, and
Okay.
they come in all shapes and sizes, and you know,
Positions.
and all of that.
Jim Siragos. Greg Pike, ever meet Vince McMahon?
I have not.
The assassin. What is your response to Vince McMahon calling TNA tawdry? Here's the quote. You said it before. We're in different businesses. We're in the entertainment business. They're in the pro wrestling business. It's different markets. When they moved to Monday nights, they threw the kitchen sink at us and only did a fraction of our audience. It doesn't speak well for the type of product they're trying to present with the tawdry, blood-soaked action. I don't think that's what the culture wants these days.
Well, my response, my flippant response was, you know, to be called tawdry from the king of tawdry, I take that as a compliment. But the reality is that you know, his wife is in an election year, and you know, they have changed their format for their show, and you know, he has the public forums to stand up and throw off the perception that he has owned for so many years and try to put it to us. So that's all that he was doing.
The king of tawdry,
There you go.
she says. You shoot live next, Vince McMahon. Stay tuned. I never do it. He doesn't have the balls, but you did. And I thank you
Absolutely.
for being so candid and answering everything.
I've had fun, guys. Thank you so much for being here.
Dixie Carter.